Hey guys, in this video I'm beefing up the frame on the Rubicon to better handle the abuse of portals. Also, quick update, the email address on here, Mudpuppy Garage Mods, is totally getting spammed by a bunch of random kids and people sending me fake sponsorship things and all kinds of scams. So just like everything on the internet, it just gets ruined by everyone who's just trying to make a quick buck with scams. So I'm no longer monitoring that email address. If you actually want to get a hold of me, the best way to do it is to use the Patreon page. Or you can try to get hold of me on Facebook, but that's also getting spammed by kids. So I don't know. Good luck, but I'm about fed up with trying to deal with all this scam stuff. So yeah. There's how it sits now. Incorporated some corrective actions from some lessons learned after the second ride out at Holopaw. We went to the much narrower HD9 beadlocks. That's what I originally tested these 6-inch portals with. They're 6+1 offset, so it makes the bike 3 inches narrower than my other wheels, the ITPs, which those are for sale, by the way. And that's good because it steers way better now. When you get bumps, you don't get any bump steer. It handles a lot more like a stock four-wheeler. With the extra offset, it handled like a piece of shit Polaris on portals. It did not feel right. So this is the only way. If you're going to run portals on a Rubicon, highly recommend these wheels and these tires, obviously, because you don't want to wear everything out. But the Rubicon frame is not beefy enough for portals. It's got 10mm fasteners. The only way to give it a chance of working is to run a light tire and a narrow offset. So that's these 6+1 HD9 STI beadlocks and the 33 by 9 by 18 Tarachis. Also, beadlocks are great. You can run 0 PSI, which helps the ride quality, helps the traction. So that was part of the fix. The other part of the fix is this spacer here. I'll show you some more details about how I made it, but basically added a spacer between the upper control arms and one big bolt all the way through it to make everything stiff. Before, the bushings were starting to twist and it was bending the tabs. Now it's all tied together. Some of those tabs have good strength this way, some have good strength this way. Now they're all tied together. It's way stronger. I don't think I'm gonna have any more issues. I was starting to notice a little bit of tweaking, and the only reason I noticed it was because my alignment changed a little bit. Obviously, when I put these new tires on, I had to realign it because when you change your offset, you change how much leverage the tire has against the shock, which changes your ride height, which affects your alignment. So I just set the toe again. And it rides really nice, and it sits up a little higher because with the wider offset it was starting to squat. So this is how I'm going to run it. Hopefully it will be very reliable from here on out. So if you're going to run portals on a Rubicon, I probably would recommend 4-inch portals just because the frame is so thin. If you look at where these tabs are, it's very, very thin metal, right? So 4-inch portals are probably the way to go. I would probably do 4-inch portals, these tires and wheels, and like a 1-inch lift front and rear, maybe just a small spring spacer all the way around, and you'd have almost as much ground clearance as these 6-inch portals, and it'd be more reliable. You wouldn't have so much twisting force on the control arms and stuff. I think the ultimate setup, which I might do in my next Rubicon, will be 4-inch portals. I'll put that spacer between the control arms from the get-go as soon as I put the portals on, and then these exact tires and wheels. And I think that'd be the ultimate setup for reliability and performance. 6-inch portals are great because you get the lower gear ratio, you get the 2 inches of ground clearance, but it's a Honda, so you can just throw a 15% primary reduction in there with the 4-inch 41% reduction, and you're going to have about the same torque. This thing's geared a little low anyways. It's almost overkill, so that's just my opinion. Of course, everyone wants to run 6-inch portals in 35s. I think that's too much. If you're going to do that, I'd really keep an eye on your front frame tabs. All right, so the fix for this is take a really long bolt. This is one I happen to have lying around. I need to order another one. And go all the way through both of the arms with one bolt. And then in the center of that bolt, put a spacer. And then on that spacer, add another brace to the frame. And I think that will fix the problem. The spacer will make it stronger on its own by tying them together. So tie them all together, get them locked down solid, and then add a small brace from the spacer to the frame to hold the spacer in there and add a little bit extra rigidity. And I'll probably weld like from over here down to the spacer, and that should do it. That'll reinforce the tabs enough. I think it'll be fine. I'm not going to do some crazy link bar stuff. It's just, there's no good way to do it. Nothing strong enough on the bumper to mount to, and it just makes it complicated. I think I can fix this by just reinforcing the tabs. Okay, so what we're doing right here is we're testing out the bushing deflection. So I've got the four-wheeler hooked to the tractor so I can lift the back tires off the ground and put all the pressure on the front wheels or back wheels or whatever, and did forward and reverse. And you can see that the Honda bushings, while they're awesome on a stock machine because they last forever, they're so soft that they actually get smashed against the frame tab. And when that happens, you don't have any more rubber dampening there, so you can bend the frame tabs. Didn't notice this with the 4-inch portals. It might have been happening, but the 6-inch portals, the factory Honda ARM bushings are definitely a little soft. Probably going to be fine, but just something to be aware of. That's good. Let me check the side again. Oh, it's spinning. Yeah, it's working. I can see it. Yeah. It's totally matched against the frame. That's what bends the tabs. There's no more give because the rubber's maxed out. Do it again. Yeah. All right. We are beefing up the frame on the Rubicon to handle portals. The first step is to put a spacer between here to tie those two mounts together and add one long bolt. That'll distribute the force better across all 4 tabs and make everything a lot more rigid, because those little short bolts can twist. So you get a bolt this long, it's a lot less likely to have deflection. So that's step 1. We'll see how that does. We may end up welding on some gussets, but that is step 1. All right, so there's the spacer installed. It was a real big pain in the ass to get that long bolt all the way through all 4 mounts, both bushings and the spacer, but I did it. And you see I had to grind on it a little bit to make it fit up in the frame because it's kind of tight there. But pretty sure it's good. Going to be a good fix. The mounts can no longer twist. The 2 tabs can't twist because they're all one. So it should be good to go, especially with the new wheels I just got that are narrower offset. It's going to be a done deal. How I break beads. This is the old Harbor Freight tire machine. If you bolt it to the drive wire or a big piece of wood, it's even easier. But I just kind of put one hand here, break the bead on one side, flip it 180, break the other side. Always break the back bead first, flip it over, and the front bead will break with one shot. So you can usually do it 2 on the back, maybe 3 on the back, and 1 on the front, maybe 2 on the front. And then I dismount it by hand using a tire iron because I'm a man. Another tip, when you're installing these bead locks, torque all of them on the bench first, put the tire on the bike and spin it, and look at the gap right here. You usually find a few that are looser than they should be. Tighten those suckers down so you have a consistent gap all the way around. Go for a ride at 5 psi, re-torque, and you'll never have a problem with them. A lot of stuff's like that, like this suspension, right? I added this new long bolt up here. Well, after I went around and let it settle, go ahead and re-torque those bolts. Stuff like that will make it go a lot longer of a way, especially if you're asking it to do more than it's designed for. So these are the wheels I had on it. They're the ITP Tornado Bronze 18 by 6.5. They're a pretty good wheel for anything. They'll fit over a 6-inch portal. The problem on the Rubicon is that they had a little bit too much offset. So most wheels these days are 4+3, which means 3 inches stick out past the lug nuts, or they're 4+4, which means 4 inches stick out past the lug nuts. So these are a pretty middle of the road medium offset. They have 2.5 inches that stick out past. But with the portals, I needed 6+1, which is only 1 inch. So that's why I'm gonna get rid of these. I paid like $850 for them. I'll take $600 if anyone wants them. They're a good setup to run like a 33 Aztec on a stock Rubicon. Yes, they are 4x137, so you'd have to run an adapter. But they'd be good for like a Pioneer 1000 or a Talon or any Can-Am, obviously.